The reason for me why Christianity holds a particular appeal is that when you push it to its extremes, I actually think it begins to make more and more sense. It becomes less coherent and less compelling the less strongly it is held when people are messing around with it. The more it's lived, the more it's absorbed, the more strongly you stick to it, the more it hangs together. Now, if you want me to be provocative, then let me quote for you an atheist who I love. I agree with almost everything he writes. We only disagree about one thing: is there a God? His name is Professor John Gray. Now, this is not the John Gray, by the way, who wrote Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. That's a different John Gray. This Professor John Gray is was up until very recently, the Professor of the History of Political Thought at the London School for Economics, a chair which he held for quite some time. Before that, he was at Oxford. He is a brilliant writer. I'm just reading a book by him on another philosopher called Isaiah Berlin. He is very, very accessible. I would happily recommend his writings, so long as you know that, as I say, we agree about everything apart from is there a God. In his book Straw Dogs, which is a very interesting and again provocative book, he published something that actually caused a huge controversy, and people are still talking about it now. Basically, the way he put it for himself was he said, look, I am an atheist, and my trouble is we have an incoherent worldview. The way he put it like this, he said we have soft atheism and we have hard atheists. So he said soft atheists are people like, if you're familiar with the names, Richard Dawkins, Daniel Dennett, Sam Harris. He said these are soft atheists. These are people who are happy to espouse atheism but are reluctant to embrace the conclusions of it. I, however, he says, am a hard atheist. In other words, I believe in atheism. I think it's the only scientifically credible opinion, but we are unwilling to run with its conclusions. Now, what he means by that is he says, look, what we all now know is we're all animals. There's nothing special about being a human being. Now, it's interesting, in his book he says Christians can be forgiven for the myth of believing there's something special about human beings because they believe that Christians were created in the image of God. He said, as a humanist, I believe there is no God to be created in the image of. Okay? He says, so I'm an atheist who hates humanism. He says, because humanism talks about human rights, human dignity. It advocates caring for the poor, the sick, the elderly. He said, all of those things we know to be scientifically wrong in light of evolutionary theory. Evolution teaches the survival of the fittest. That's what we must have. We must have a political theory, a moral theory that teaches and advocates survival of the fittest. And why on earth are we not willing to embrace this? He's saying. Now, just in case you think that this guy's writing in a corner, his books have sold millions and millions and millions. But here's the point, and I think this is a very important point to make. Many atheists would disagree with him. Okay, so if you're an atheist here today, there's no need, you have to agree with John Gray at all. And it's certainly not the case that you have to believe in God in order to do good things. That's not true either. Okay, anyone can do that. What John Gray is saying is, look, what I don't understand is I have a worldview that I have concluded is scientifically provable and true, which dictates we should treat each other in a particular way, and we're holding back from it. It's incoherent. Does that make sense? We're not following through on the logic here, morally, politically, philosophically. We need to pursue that. And others are saying, no, let's hold back, this seems awfully extreme. In other words, what I'm saying is, when you push the view to its extreme, okay, you start generating some very, very, very interesting issues and questions.